Welcome back to Hotheads Marine. Here you got us, Zach and myself, out in this hot ass sun. What's the heat index today?
Hot.
What was it on your truck a while ago when you just
112.
left? 112 on the dash of the truck. My God. Anyway, we got us a Malibu boat here. Customer, it's an older boat. It's got newer upholstery in it, and they're fixing it up little by little, and they're using it. Anyway, first customer had the boat and freeze cracked the engine, sold the boat. New customer brought it in, gave him a price for the engine. He didn't like our price, which is perfectly fine. And he installed his own engine. I don't know who makes the engine. It looks like an ATK by the tag on it. Seems to run pretty good, but they had some kind of ching-chong freaking carburetor on there, Quadra jet, $150 carburetor. And, if you're forced to have to use one of those, then go ahead, but be ready to work on the carburetor considerably to make it work. We just went through that on a 1975 model boat, and we were forced to buy a Chinese carburetor off of Amazon, and it was questionable, to say the least. It took a lot of work to it, taking it apart, changing things to get it to run properly. As a matter of fact, it's being picked up today. There's Deanna, our office manager, and there's Kenneth, hard at work. Got a new bellows, good. We found this bellows leaking a little bit of water. Down here, it looks like it's split, and it's also really hard, where this one is pretty pliable still. So this one's probably cooked inside. Anyway, we talked the customer into doing a proper job, and we're gonna take some flack for this, but not putting an Edelbrock carburetor and not putting a Quadrajet carburetor. I've had many, many years of Quadrajet carburetors. I know how to make them run, as long as they're a factory carb, they're okay, but they still all have, the factory carbs have the leak down problem, which I'm just not okay with. And if you spend the money and go buy yourself a Holley, they call them direct replacements because the fuel line comes in here. We got an electric choke now. We got 2 small primaries and 2 fat secondaries in the back, so it's spread bore. And we did have to add an adapter plate down there, but at least we got a straight shot. We're not adapting from a spread bore to a square bore, which would have been fine also. We want to give him the right carburetor for this application as closely as possible. We've installed this carburetor. This is the first run, and we fired it up on the hose a minute ago, and it purred like a kitten. It was idle just a little bit high, but we left it because we wanted to see what this carb would do out of the box. And here we go. Let's see what she's gonna do. Come on, baby. There we go. Now I would call that a cold start, but since it's 100 and what out here? 100 and fuck is what it is out here. Excuse my French, this video is not made for children. They seem to run really well. Now the other carburetor, when you throttle the engine up, it would just bog and spit and sputter and just act stupid and just didn't work. So let's put this thing under a load. We're in gear right there, and let's lean on this. Everybody clear? Hey, works good. And we chop the throttle and we get a die. Of course, it's loaded up with fuel. Let's do that again. Let's see what happens now that we idled it down. And it died again. So maybe we have the idle set a little bit too low. So bring the idle up just a tad, please. We check the timing. Now we think the timing should be at about 10 degrees, but it's at 8. It's a little high, Zach. Bring it down just a little. That's about 825. Let's see what happens there. And it died again. Maybe a little idle mixture. Oh, you got a screwdriver? I think that idle mixture is probably, they usually come in at about 1 1/4. Just give it about a quarter turn. That's good. And hit the, it raised the RPM a little. Hit the other side too. All right. Let's see what happens. Hey, right. A little bit of idle mixture. Needs a little bit of fuel when you chop the throttle. We also don't know the condition of the fuel in the boat. It may be kind of old. But it looked like it tried to stall there for a second, but we don't want to open the idle mixture up so much that it's running way too rich, and then when he does possibly get some good fuel in it or whatever, you know, the thing runs like shit and starts fouling spark plugs. So I think we're going to leave it here even if it dies a little intermittently. Yeah, it gets pretty close to dying, but it doesn't die. So we're going to leave that right there, because it's not very often when you're full throttle then off the throttle like that, unless you whiskey throttle it at the dock. Then you're in trouble anyway, because you're probably going to slam into the dock. Be careful out there operating these machines. There was a fatality on the lake this weekend, a young man, and God rest his soul, and I pray for his family, but safety is critical. We're going to give this thing a clean bill of health. Y'all happy with this one? Right, just to let you know, that carburetor from Summit Racing was about $870. The plate underneath it wasn't too terribly bad at about $60 plus shipping. And we had to get new carburetor studs. We had to manufacture this throttle bracket in-house. We just made some steel and welded it, took a little bit. A few nuts and bolts, a little longer piece of fuel line, a piece of fuel line here. We were able to use the supplied wing nut stud, and everything looks good. The carburetor comes with a wire. Simply run it right to this power supply, this choke. And let's see if the hood closes. I didn't check that. Oops. Hey, the hood closes. Is it hitting? Doesn't seem like it's hitting. Good. All right, so if the hood is down on the way, looks like it is, we're good to go. Shut it off. Start it. That's what I'm talking about. Clean bill of health for this one. We're gonna fix that leaking exhaust hose and let the customer know it's ready. 10-4, good job guys. Thanks for watching.